সিচুয়েশনে যাচ্ছে। আচ্ছা 11টা বেজে গেছে। আমি তাহলে গো লাইভ হয়তো চলে যাব উইদিন ফিউ সেকেন্ড। আমি জাস্ট একটা খাতা কলম নিয়ে রাখলাম নোট করার জন্য।
Fahad, live stream started, so can you please take over?
Okay. So assalamu alaikum everyone. We have our third session in this year from Bitna. And today we have two dignified guests, Tanvir Saad from Nokia and Siam Hussain, who's an entrepreneur in algorithm. So without further ado, we're going to start with a brief introduction from Tanvir Saad, and we'll continue with Siam. Thank you. Tanvir Saad.
Right.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So this is Tanvir. So I've been living in US for last 8 to 9 years, I think. I forgot the count. But I'm living in Dallas and working for Nokia at this point of time. So I have around 26 plus years of professional experience, living and working in multiple continents so far. So far, I haven't worked with in Antarctica. Other than that, mostly traveling all around places. Yes, and happy to kind of join this conversation. As I mentioned, that my background is in telecom and IT. I have worked with different companies like Telenor operations in Bangladesh, like Grameenphone, and then Intel, Ericsson, non-profit like Open Networking Foundation, and startup. And I built startup in my early high school days back in Bangladesh, and now working for Nokia for last 5 years. I lead the global standards team for Nokia, who is contributing to the innovation and inventions for global standards in telecoms from that perspective. So happy to be here and happy to kind of having this conversation. And thanks Fahad and Bitna to invite me to this meeting.
Thank you, Tanvir Bhai. And yeah, Siam, let's begin with your brief introduction.
Thank you, Tanvir Bhai. And hi guys, this is Siam. Introductions are always the hardest. So I moved to the US in 2009, so 17 years from now. I did my master's here, and then I worked in the corporate for 7 years. So I started as a junior software engineer. And although my master's was in electrical engineering, I switched to software engineering for my first job. But I worked as a software engineer, became a senior assistant vice president of a Baltimore-based financial investment company. It's called T. Rowe Price. They handle people's 401ks, mutual funds, things like that. In 2018, I got my green card. Actually, in 2017, I got my green card. Within a year, I left my job from this very cushy, very comfortable, very senior level role because I was very unfulfilled. And I had a little bit, what should I say, freedom that I wasn't married yet. I was like, okay, if I have any dream of doing something, this is the time to take the lead. So since then, I tried, I would say 2 companies, both of them failed. This is my third company, which I started in 2020. This company is doing decently well in 2026. So in 2024, we crossed $1 million in annual revenue. And it's a very small company, it's just bootstrap. I'm the solo founder. I own the entire company. And then through that whole process, I think in the last 5 years, I learned 20 years of market wisdom, or I bled so much. I think thanks a lot again for Fahad and Bitna for having me. But the best type of value I can add right now is just to share my mistakes. That's all. So that's it.
Thank you, Siam. I think let's proceed with today's topic. So today's topic, we have immigrants' path to entrepreneurship and exploring the telecom industry. So what we're going to go through today's session is the journey that Siam took as an immigrant that came, who came to US around 15, 20 years back, and how and what path he took to become today's entrepreneur. And secondly, with Tanvir Bhai, with, I don't know, decades of experience in telco industry and networking industry. Now he's one of the big thinkers in the telecom industry. So we're going to go through understanding like the kind of exploring that industry, and how a new joiner or a mid-career person can navigate the telco industry, that we're going to go through. So let's begin with Siam today. So Siam, let's begin with you. I think you also have a background of helping people moving into the higher study and all that. I think that's where it all started, right? So probably we can start from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I moved to the US, that was in 2009. So in 2010, I basically started this Facebook group called Higher Study Abroad. It had probably like 500 members when I opened, like just very super early. Now we have more than 210,000 members. It's probably one of the largest groups of Bangladeshi expats and non-resident Bangladeshis who are living abroad. So I think everyone who comes to the US now at least heard of higher study abroad, might have not heard about me, but higher study abroad is definitely there. But I actually didn't realize that this will become so big when I started. My goal was just to I mean, if someone has heard my story, this might be a repeat, but I'll just still go through it. Is that basically in 2010, I was in Houston doing my master's, like regular RA, like research assistant, doing my research, doing my master's. And then in Houston, I was talking with my mom in this in this parking lot at night, because in Bangladesh it's like morning when it's night here. And I was saying that, okay, mom, like I'm doing my master's, but at every day I spend almost like 3 to 4 hours every day in this group just to help people, just like, okay, to answer their questions about how to do SOP, how to do admissions, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I asked my mom that, like, okay, mom, like, what's the benefit for me for doing this thing, because I'm doing all these things for free. So my mom asked me that, okay, like, how long did it take you to gather all this information, and like, yeah, like how long did it take you? So I said that, yeah, if I had the guidance from someone who has gone through the path, it would have saved me at least a year of my life. So my mom said something which is not logical, but because I was very young, I took it all in my heart. She said that, okay, so if you have 500 group members, then you are moving Bangladesh 500 years ahead. So I was like, oh, my goal is to move every person 1 year, save 1 year of their lives, and move Bangladesh how many years ahead. Obviously, it wasn't logical, but I was young. I was like early 20s. So I was like, okay, my goal is to make sure that I'm helping as many people as I can. Obviously, this passion kind of like, I got a lot of help actually from hundreds of people who say that, oh, I wanted to do it. Then they started joining me as volunteers, or they are basically running higher study abroad right now. I'm not fully directly involved anymore. But yeah, through that experience, I mean, I had a lot of, like, we can go to the details, but summary experience is that, and I still cannot believe, like, an average person like me, like in IoT, in electrical engineering, I was like a very average, not the last person, but also not the first boy. An average person like me can have such an enormous impact. It is still, I cannot still believe it. So that is something, I think, like, if anyone is listening to it, is like an average person can decide to be extraordinary, or like an ordinary person can decide to be ordinary, and whenever they decide, whichever day, that's the day they become extraordinary. So that's basically the main learning. But anyway, that's it for
Okay.
for now.
So after that, I think you came in as a student. Like, when and how you took the path to be an entrepreneur? Like, you started your career here, right? Like, and then you decided.
Hmm.
Like, what is the struggle?
I do not think that entrepreneurship came into me in this, like, very clear way that, oh, I want to do entrepreneurship. I don't think it was like that. I just found myself that, oh, I became an entrepreneur. So I was trying to help people primarily through higher study abroad, and I really enjoyed the process of helping people and seeing the impact that, like, because I got so many messages from people from random places, like, I don't know, Norshingdi, some village person messages me in Facebook that Siam bhai, because of you, I came to the US. And I'm like, okay, thank you so much. But I'm like, I don't know you. Uh, but I was like, okay, these are actual human beings, and they're writing like really long messages, not from IoT or BUET, average Pabna University of Science and Technology. And then I was like, okay, like this is, I think I got a lot of fulfillment from that, realizing that again, this average person can have like so much impact on a random person's life. But through higher study abroad, I realized that I cannot sustainably do it for free forever, because eventually what started happening is that there are many smart people. Still in higher study abroad, like the main organizing panel are very smart. Like they're all either in teaching in universities in US or very good in career, like good, like high caliber people. But what I started seeing is that they're eventually giving less and less time to higher study abroad, because they're giving their time to something which is paying them money. It's not a bad thing, it's just a reality of life. They have to
Yeah.
have raised their kids, family, all this stuff. They have responsibilities. So although I had this like intention, I thought that the sustainable way to actually make an impact is to create like a business structure where you can pay people and then where you can make money. So this was a later part problem for me, that okay, I want to make something sustainable. How do I do it? That's why I went, okay, so entrepreneurship is the way. So that's how it came. And actually, all my next iterations of businesses has been around higher study abroad phase 2, let's say. So higher study abroad was about helping Bangladeshis move to different countries, but primarily in the US for studies. And every other iteration I ran are, how do I help all these Bangladeshis or other immigrants right now who are already in the US to navigate life in the US, either landing a job or, I don't know, opening a bank account, getting, so all this stuff. But yeah, so so it's a gradual and so progress, Fahad. I still do not think
I think
not
it's always been your passion and a kind of branding that with the immigrants, right? Like that's where you were at.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think the core of it is still human. Like the entrepreneurship is more like the how, like okay, like how do I get the money, and how, these are the process discussions. We can have process discussions for sure, but I think bigger issue is the why. Is that why am I doing it? Because I like helping these people, I like seeing these messages, or like just like being able to help people. Mm, this is something which I realized a long ago, is that like currently in the world, like there is a, like knowledge is ubiquitous. Like we have YouTube, like ChatGPT. I mean, we do not have any like lacking of knowledge right now. You have basically like the superpower in front of you every day, all the time available for you. But why are people not progressing? Because it's a motivation problem, it's not a knowledge problem anymore. So and the what I want to work on is basically understanding a human, their journey, how can I tickle their motivation. So that's where is my play or my interest. Because if you are able to, like a hungry man can, they will basically kill another person to eat, like if you, once you make a man hungry, the how to like cook food and how to catch the fish, you don't have to teach them, they will figure it out. They're very smart, humans are smart, I have no doubt. But if they don't have motivation, because I have seen a lot of, I have mentored a lot of people and I have basically given a lot of guidance.
Hmm.
If they don't have motivation, they can have the most powerful tool in their hand, but they can be just lazy. Okay, I don't want to do it, I'm feeling lazy, I don't want, I'm sure we know this by the way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically, yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, but
No. That's kind. That's kind. So I'm gonna go ask you another question. Like I think we'd like to know about. So you were in a very good position, like in a company when I think back in 2017 when you were in Baltimore. So you could have progressed through your career, and what made you to risk everything and get out of your day-to-day career and
very good
start
question.
something that you were passionate about?
Yeah, this is a very good question. I don't know if I would recommend my younger self to do any more what I did, but I have already done it, so it's gone. Um, but maybe at that time, that was the right thing to do. So basically, in 2018, when I left the job, I didn't do it in a whim, in a 1 month decision. It was a multi-year trial and error before that. So when I was, I think from 2015, I have been tinkering with some side ideas. So I was working in Enterprise full time, going home, and then, oh, let me try this idea. And everyone who is in the corporate in the US, they know that the work, at least my work, was coming through phases. So 1 quarter there was a lot of work, and suddenly the next quarter there is no work. So when there is no work in that quarter, I started oh, I have so much free time now, I'm getting free money from my job, I just do these little meetings. And then I have a lot of time, let me try a new startup idea. And then I started some ideas. But what happens in that, oh, the next quarter, my manager says, yeah, we have some production line issues. And the startup is kind of like a baby. I started that baby little, and then suddenly my manager calls, and I have to say that baby that, okay, baby, you stay. I'm gonna run for. You have to just stand up by yourself. A startup cannot survive if you ignore it in the first 2 or 3 years. You have to give it 100 hours a week, like all in. There is no half-assing a startup, like at least not in my view. So I tried that, and then I thought that, okay, if it is so important for me, and specifically also because I talked with a lot of immigrant senior boro bhais, I'm not saying anything negative, but like they all had the same regret that like I didn't do it. Siam, if you can do it, all the boro bhais, and they're very senior, very senior. They have all these ideas now. They have huge capital, but they do not have the muscle, like this tactical muscle of actually building a company from the trenches, because one is being an investor and understanding the strategy, another one is actually going in the war zone and building that whole thing. So so they said that, okay, see, I'm like, okay, I have a little bit, that's why I said in the beginning that I had a little bit privilege, that I didn't have to take care of my kids or family, like, which I understand that not a lot of people have that kind of privilege, but I had that. I was single. And then I mean, for a single guy, like, you don't need too much money to survive. I'm like, all right, let's just quit. And what will happen? I was in software. I mean, I'll not die. I'll go back to a job after few years. So my goal in 2018 was that I need to make the same amount of money what I made from my company in Enterprise, same type of money for myself as a salary within 5 years, which is a very long time. I gave myself that, okay, I'll try few ideas, all of them will fail, but within 5 years I have to make the money, otherwise I quit and I'm a 9 to 5 guy. So I started making exactly zero price kind of salary within 3 years, and then after that it only went high. So I was like, so but I had a runway of, let's say, 5 years. That was my mental model when I left my job.
Okay. Thank you, Siam. Okay. I'm gonna go on and ask a few more questions. So you were with, I think, green card when you decided to leave your job, right? And how many works did you work before that?
How many years?
Years. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, years.
2013, 2008, like 2012, 6 years.
6 years. Okay. So when you left the job, and like how did you kind of navigate that part, like as a green card holder, not a citizen, and how, like, what struggles did you go through to build that, like, company or at that time?
When you have green card, I think the struggle isn't, I mean, there wasn't any legal struggle. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, the struggle was more in like OPT and F1 and all. I mean, now I would say that people should start trying. Even honestly, I tried late. That was my
Hmm.
mistake. When you are 20s, or I mean, as younger you are, the more bones you break, the easier you can heal. Like the older you are, bone healing takes more time. So so yeah, when someone is in F1 right now, I mean, I don't know what is the type of audience here, but I'm assuming that most of them are young. um, I think during a student, irrespective of their visa status, is the time when they have to start tinkering, generating revenue. Once they start having money, they can message me or Tanvir Bhai or Fahad. We will help with the immigration. Like, they need to figure out the business part. So I don't think, yeah. So that's it. But I lost a lot of my years in the early days thinking that, oh, I will start my business after I have a green card. that was just procrastination, to be honest. I should have, because business tactics is a harder puzzle than immigration, at least in my view.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah.
And you also help with the immigration services, I guess, right? Like you also help with people with that. So
Now
that's
we
a very
do.
good experience you have. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you,
Tanvi, right?
Siam.
You wanna? No, no.
Okay. I think we've heard a lot of good thoughts from Siam, and thank you, Siam. And I think we're gonna proceed with the Tanvir right now. So Tanvir, right, like when and how? I think you've been working with networking for a long time. Like, what made you decided to come to this path?
Yeah, I think yeah, it's just a long story. I don't know whether it fits into this time, but I can give bits and pieces. I really like the way Siam was mentioning about the passion and the interest. I think this is the key thing, for everyone. So everyone has to be passionate and motivated, right? So first, I think even for any career, anything you do, either entrepreneurship or doing job, I think that's the key thing. So I can give a little bit of kind of my kind of experience, I would say, because that might help you to understand that why uh, being passionate and being curious, being kind of interested is the key. So in my kind of in my high school days, and you can see my T-shirt, like I have this C prompt from DOS, so it means that I'm old enough to work on DOS, and at that time. So in my high school days, when there was no internet, so there was only internet, like dial-up internet back in Dhaka, and I was from Mymensingh, which is 200 miles north to Dhaka, and we didn't have any access to internet at that time. So my idea in when I was in, I think, first year of college, like in or high school, like the HSC, I started that small company. And now people are saying it coolly, like startup, but at the time it was a small venture that we 10 friends started to build that kind of service for especially targeting to the Bangladesh Agricultural University campus, because I was born and raised there. So to targeting, okay, how we can bring internet to the people. And going back again, Siam's like satisfaction. So my idea was like how I can accelerate my knowledge in terms of doing something very hands-on that will help me to accelerate in my studies that I'm targeting to kind of engineering or other areas. At the same time, I wanted to accelerate everything, my understanding of business, my understanding of people, because when you start a business, you get to know people very well. There are bad experience, there is worse experience, and there is a nice experience too. So handling in that time at that age, that was a really rewarding for me. So we built that small company with $7,000 taka per shareholder. That's 70,000
Oh, wow.
taka to start with the business. And now that business, I don't own that business because we have given that business to one of our friends who is kind of living his livelihood there. So it's generating like 30 lakh taka per month as a revenue,
Oh,
from
wow.
$70,000 seed funding to 30 lakh taka monthly income. So what I'm saying that so the passion was there. So I get to hands-on doing networking stuff. And another key success thing is like there is no shortcut. There is no shortcut in telecom, IT, or other. So you cannot, like, now you can ask question to Gemini or chat GPT that to do something, but at the same time the knowledge, it has to be there. I climbed up, like I remember connecting people to remote area like Netrokona. So there was a kind of a missionary in Netrokona which need the connectivity. So I climbed up like 100-meter tower and put an antenna there and connect to back to Mymensingh. So those kind of things. So I think I think that's the passion. So I always had that passion in my kind of to accelerate. But there is a twist also, because even I had the passion. I got kind of, my dad wanted me to be a economist, so I joined economics back in my studies. So my path for technology being diverted to economics. So I studied economics for 1 year, 1.5 years actually, and then dropped out. And then I joined IoT like Siam and Fahad. So I'm the same, from the same university. So I think um, going back again, like, I mean, passion has to be there. There is no shortcut for success. And all this journey that I have made through is a different than Siam, in a sense that I'm a hardcore engineer. I moved to different countries with my job. So I've been kind of, taking the job. So I might not have that struggle that everyone had, this kind of, the visa transformation for US and others. I think this is a real struggle. And I was lucky that my focus was only like, how to make sure that I am worth of a company who can hire me and who can also put me in a position that they can move me along. So I think being Bangladeshi, being coming from a third world country, being not rated as the highest kind of rating university, because I only have a bachelor degree from IUT. And people sometimes ask me, oh, I mean, have you done any masters? I didn't do any masters, but at the same time, like, that's a different journey. I think um, yeah, hard work, that was the key for me to have this journey. And I was always kind of working. I'm not suggesting anyone that work kind of extra hours, as Siam mentioned, like, for entrepreneur, like, you have to work like 100 hours per week. But at the same time, if you're in a company where you need to show your capability to against the other people who are not same background as yours, you have to work harder to make that impact. So I think it was never a shortcut for me, Fahad. So I mean, maybe
No, no,
one
definitely.
small
Yeah.
story, maybe that can kind of give an idea that the position I'm in, or it sounds like, oh, I mean, I'm doing like leadership, blah blah blah, and all this kind of thing in a big corporate. But all these things started as a very basic, twisting the kind of, stack and stack the hardware, climbing up the tower, and all those kind of things.
Thank you, Tanvir. And what I hear from both of your stories is like is the passion or something to motivate you or drive you to do whatever path you want to take. For Siam, it was the entrepreneurship. For you, it's like the hardcore technical side that I like. You became one of the best in that telco side now. So, Tanvir Bhai, if you can explain, like, what is your current like area of work, or what is your role in Nokia Medal?
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, my role in current Nokia is more into, if you're familiar with IT and telecoms, so standards is a big thing. So if you're talking about this IEEE, so we talk about like Wi-Fi 6, Wi-Fi 7 as a product and all this kind of thing. But back in there is a interoperability and the standards that being driving. So this is very important from two perspectives. One, innovation means that you are driving new innovation in the new technology area like 6G and others. So my
Hmm.
responsibility is to drive those kind of ambition forward for Nokia. At the same time, there is a bigger part. So if you're familiar with patents and some of these kind of, I think people in US, engineers in US, they work for US Patent Office, ESPTO. So those kind of things. So patents is a key area for generating revenue for Nokia. So we are also looking into the patents. So my responsibility is more kind of leadership of that kind of team. I have a team of like 20 principal architects and kind of innovators who are being leading those kind of innovation engines for Nokia. So that's my current role. But I did work with number of areas like business development and product management and service delivery and all these areas, and also R&D program management side too. So that's like, because I did work in different areas, and that gives me kind of idea. And even I'm also involved in the VC side of the Nokia. So Nokia has a VC wing called Nokia Venture Capital, VC wing NGP Capital. So I do work with them closely in terms of evaluating some of these new areas where to invest.
Thank you, Tanvir. So my following question would be like, if somebody wants to get into the telco industry, and with AI coming up as a new thing, how do you prepare, and like what should be the journey that person needs to take?
Absolutely. I think when we started our career in telco, it was kind of golden geese. Like, everyone is like jumping on the telco. I remember even my first job was not telco. So I was working for a ISP or internet service provider. And my aspiration was, oh, I didn't get into the telco in Phone, Robi, and Ecatel at that time, right? So, and CityCell all the time. So when we started our career, telco was the kind of the best. So there was a lot of opportunities globally. Like people were actually being hired, because I was actually hired from Bangladesh to Ireland by Ericsson from Phone. So there are people in the companies are actually hiring global talents at that time. But fast forward to 2020s, I would say, like, telcos are not that. If you are staying with the core of the telco, like, the basic one, you cannot kind of navigate your career. So somehow this is being stagnated. So now people are moving more into the cloud, obviously, because cloud is being embraced by telco as we speak. So infrastructure is becoming more cloud. Infrastructure are more becoming autonomous. Autonomous means like you are adding Fadi mentioned about AI, automation, all these kind of things are coming up. So people now look for a engineer who understand the technology, who are able to understand the code, not because generating code is now easier because you have the kind of tools there, but understanding the code is important. So someone who understands, because all this innovation, automation and autonomous that we are talking about, these are all code, right? So my suggestion, like, AI is being embraced by telco as we speak. We talk about, there was a big talk about this AI RAN. You saw that NVIDIA is investing on telcos, like our company as Nokia.
Oh, okay.
So yes, yeah. So that's a big thing. And so yes, AI is now at the core of what we are trying to do in 6G, because the telecom evolution is like 2G, 4G, 3G, 4G, 5G, and then 6G. So 6G is being planned probably to 2030 plus kind of
Okay.
time frame. So anyone who has ambition on telco, I think definitely work on the how AI can improve the telco competitiveness in terms of the performance, in terms of the algorithm. If someone is very much kind of into the kind of radio kind of architecture and others, so that's where they can contribute. From the coding point of view, yes, as I mentioned, that going forward, the coder role will be limited, because the basic coding is being done by the all the AI tools. But it doesn't mean that there is no value for the software engineers. The software engineers will be moving in a higher kind of intelligence level, where they would decide, or they would understand that what code is being generated, whether it is right or wrong, because it will take some time to get this learning on. So telecom is not a kind of lucrative area at this point of time. If you look at only telecom, like the way we have been working for last couple of last decade, I would say, this has been transferred into the cloud infrastructure, AI automation.
So more into data center, would you
Yeah,
say?
more into the data center. So I mean, people who has data center background and aspiration to grow into this one, so they are more relevant to telco nowadays. If you really look at the job description that telco companies like is hiring, they are putting all these requirements there.
And just to add on to you, Tanvir, but like, thank you very much. What you're saying, like a data center, and I think to follow up, like I would say, like the stability of the network and the stability of the data center is the next big thing, it seems. Because whenever, like I think in past 3 months, if I'm not wrong, like we had 2, 3 massive outages in the cloud side, which definitely impacted the business for those 3 days.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think what you're saying is like for the networking point of view, like it should be working on to more on the data center and the kind of like the stability of those data center is the next big thing.
Yeah, it's a challenging part because telco services are treated as the emergency service. Like you have to be like it has to. We call it like 5 nines. Like you have the similar concept in the cloud network, right?
Hmm.
But if you look at the reliability, telco networks are more reliable than the other network, and that's the dilemma or that's the delay of adoption of cloud into the telco because of the fact that telco was always looking out for zero downtime because this depend life depends on kind of infrastructure, because if you don't have a 911 call, then you are out, right? So you are not able to reach anyone on emergency. So those kind of things, I think, while we are addressing and adopting and embracing cloud into telco, I think these are becoming more and more kind of important issues about the reliability. That what if, and if something goes wrong, and this is valid for the cloud networking as a lot of people are in the cloud networking also, right?
Thank you, Tanvir bhai. And let's go back to Siam, I guess. Like similar question to you would be like if like what would be the advice for someone who's getting into the entrepreneurship and the environment that you had like 2017 or 2018 when you were getting into the entrepreneurship, and now with the AI, like how or what sort of advice you would have?
Very difficult question because with the advent of AI, all the advices are invalid within few months. So like I
Yeah.
don't even know. Mm, hmm.
Even I would say like a few weeks, right? Like if you think about it, I think Google just came up with technology that compresses the like RAM requirement for the AI. That changed a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say that the golden era of like this software entrepreneur, at least like I mean the whole term of entrepreneurship and startup and this whole this thing got glorified, I would say primarily through software entrepreneurship. I would say it's a very narrow segment because startup is obviously not just that, but that's how it
Yeah.
became famous. I think software or SaaS is dead forever. Like I don't think any new person should build another SaaS company. Uh, I mean, last 2 years have been very privileged to be going into a lot of rooms of VCs and like people who are building all these early stage companies, and everyone's main discussion is that software has no moat. So in business, there is this term called moat, which is defensibility, that how do you protect your business, whatever you're building, that it will not be replicated the next day by someone else. That moat is gone. Like let's say 5-10 years ago, a software company's competency or the technical edge was that they are building something
Mm.
that will take some time to replicate. But now the replication time has reduced from years to months to weeks. Like I can just see my competitors build a software web application, and I'll not do anything. I'll just sit, and then I have a mini team. And after that whole software product has been tested in the market and they have gathered all the data and we know that revenue is coming, we can immediately within a week copy and paste them.
Oh
So
wow.
so the in general, what is happening, and Fahad, you might know this because last year I was all about personal branding, is the moat is now the distribution. So one is product in software, is building the product, building the technology, building the superior technology. What has switched from that to distribution, which is basically marketing and sales, which is only, honestly, if you want to go into entrepreneurship, if you had to learn one skill out of many skills, of course many skills is better than one, but if you had to learn one, that would be marketing and sales, not product. Because uh, if you are able to sell, then you can get the money and hire the best product people, like that is hireable. But you can build the best product, and if you do not know how to sell, then the puzzle doesn't solve. So good news or bad news is that the new age younger people, what I'm seeing, and I'm seeing this in New York a lot, everyone is becoming content creator, or everyone is, unless you're building a hardcore. So there are basically two paths right now. One is that if you're going for this easy software kind of company, then you have to be primarily a content / marketing person. That's it. If you're going for hard technology, then it's a different path. Like you're doing biomedical engineering, or I don't know, robotics. Those do require a lot of capital. So that will be more capital intensive. If you want to, the reason startup was so popular, like I don't know, in for us in the last 10 years, was that it did not require too much capital. You could just have a brain and then have laptop, and you just build $1 million company with 3 friends. uh, that modality has shifted from writing codes to being a content creator or being a good storyteller, which is I would say, different type of skill. So again, like I'm just giving the background because this is a shift which is happening and will happen. The fundamental difference of an engineering brain, or is that engineers or software engineers, I mean, I am an engineer myself, is to solve a problem. They have a big puzzle, they solve the puzzle in the most optimized way. That's the strength or the skill set. There is another arm, which is again like another eye. I call it that there needs to be these two eyes of an entrepreneur, is the storytelling eye, which is basically how do I package it to some way that the end user can understand it, absorb it. So the storytelling eye improves marketing, it improves UX design, it improves customer experience, all those side of things. So I would say that if someone wants to improve a skill stack right now, that has to be EQ, that has to be more human skills, not another layer of logical thinking, because that is getting already away. Like I have the machine, I can ask ChatGPT that, oh dude, like it will do all the analytics, it will do all the data crunching. I have the research assistant under my pocket. But what AI cannot do is go to a bar, have some coffee, go that this
That's the next big breakthrough that's going to come from AI, seems like.
I say this as in Bangladesh, there is this term called like Matio Manush. So basically, like these are the only two components which are not getting replaced, like real estate or like actual land, that will never go away. And Manush means like you have to have the people,
Yeah, the human interaction and all that. Yeah.
the human interaction. So these are the two skills. I mean, the EQ and the human connection. EQ is the main skill, I would say, to learn.
Yeah. So that's a very good point that you told. Like, I see where you're coming from. So I'm going to ask you a different question. Like this is coming from me. So you talked about mode, and you talked about the storytelling or the selling part. So if I say like I have two companies coming to me, both have pretty good storytelling on the background, like what they're doing, how they can help us. What about the service you're going to provide, like the after the sales? How do you cover that part, the service part? Like, is there any like kind of difficulty providing that, or how do you manage that? I guess.
Is the service, again, like I mean, service or product which we discussed, is that replicable, or I mean, anyone can just ask basically any of the AI tools on what are the services which are getting replaced. So let's say
Mhm.
if the service you are selling is data entry, there's no meaning. If you are selling customer service or phone call, like all these Philippines, all this customer service back office industry which existed, all are going
Mhm.
away. Everything is AI right now. You are talking with AI agents, they're all already getting replaced. So But if your service is that you're selling HVAC systems or
Mhm.
plumbing, that is not going away. That's hardcore skill. The HVAC will stay. If anything, I would go back to becoming a technician and be, so it depends on the service. If you're selling this like what should I say, like white collarish like a desk service,
Mhm.
which can be outsourced either to India or Bangladesh, and now to AI, like whatever was being outsourced to India and Bangladesh, that is being outsourced to AI right now. Data entry, coding, even junior, or to be honest, junior software development, that whole layer of coding is going away. All the software engineers are now becoming product engineers, which is like a holistic understanding customer journey and all this. Mm, but yeah, depends on the service, Fahad. So if they're building like hardcore services, then it's fine. Does it answer your question? I'm not sure.
No,
Maybe,
definitely.
maybe I can chime in. Sorry, Siam and Fahad. So
Yeah.
this is a area is very interesting for me at least, like because as Siam mentioned that selling and storytelling is very important, and I get to experience in a different way being on the PC side and people pitching it. So I think this is a very important skill. At the same time, this is also a skill that can be misused, I would say, in a sense that because if you are not having a good MVP to showcase, then you are kind of losing the trust, right? From that point of view. So this is a right balance, like how you pitch it, this the story, and then you go with the MVP to showcase the demo. That makes a perfect kind of match. And another point is very important when I think in an entrepreneurial way, that customer uh, kind of understanding customer problem. We call it very vaguely, like you say, oh, I mean, I understand customer, but what does it mean? So if you are in the shoes of the customer, what problem you are solving? I think whoever get into the entrepreneurship, they have to understand that what problem actually we are solving. It can be a small problem, it can be a small thing, but that understanding and storytelling together, and with a powerful MVP to show the storytelling or exhibit that kind of storytelling, is very powerful to make our break for this startup or kind of entrepreneurship. But yeah, sorry that I just wanted to
No, no, no.
chime
Yeah.
in here. So this is a really really
And,
interesting.
and, and I think it all goes to the basic point of like connecting with the people, getting to understand what their problem is, and like at the end, like that's what the entrepreneur should do, like to solve the problems or the issues that the people face. Thank you
Yeah.
very much, Siam and Tanvir Bhai. So I'm going to go through the audiences that raised some questions to you. I'm going to go through one by one from that. Um, so somebody asked to Siam, can you please share some real examples of how your platform helps immigrants to find their success?
Real example of how do we help? We pivoted a lot in the last 2 years. So I'll tell what we used to help and what we
Mhm.
help right now with. So previously we were primarily a bootcamp and job lending agency. So we were teaching primarily international students or newcomers in the US soft
Mhm.
skills, primarily soft skills like how to interview skills, how to prepare their resume. We also had like hands-on projects. They were doing hands-on software engineering project with our partner companies, which helped them improve their US job experiences
Mhm.
overall. Um, and then also like landing job with immigration, like tackling all their immigration, OPT, uh, STEM extension, green card, all those. So that was primarily what we were doing.
Mhm.
Uh, Now we do not do that early stage job training like the student side anymore. We only help the corporations finding talent. Like we used to have both sides, but we eventually transitioned to only helping the large corporations finding talent. The
Mhm.
market has been very bad, everyone knows that. For talent, what we do right now is that we have been running for 5.5 years now. we basically open sourced all our information, like starting from like every information is basically open and free right now for the talent side. So they can just go and learn whatever we learned in the last 5 years on job landing, on navigating life in the US overall. So yeah, that's basically for the talent side, at least, what kind of help we can do right now. And then another thing is that it's not only, we're not helping the talents only with knowledge. Second thing we are helping with is that in the last 5 years, we have built a lot of relationships within the industry in every segment of the journey. So once an immigrant comes, they go through a different phases. Let's say in the early stage, they need to open bank accounts. Then later they need to file for immigration. They need specific immigration specific lawyers. Then they are trying to buy real estate. They need localized real estate agents. We are basically now we have a decent amount of relationships with different industry practitioners and also organizations who are basically plugged in within our ecosystem, so that whenever a talent is going through our free platform with the knowledge, they will get all these free deals. Basically, that okay, if you go sign up with this bank, you get a $500 bonus, or if you go with this immigration lawyer, you get a free session, or they get a discount. So that's the direction we are going as an organization.
As you said before, you went through years to get those knowledge, so that you're just kind of collating them and sharing with the people.
Yeah, and also the bigger realization I had as a entrepreneur, and I'm just sharing as an entrepreneur, like not an answer to the person's question, is that some it's very important for an entrepreneur to target the right type of user, and that has to be the biggest skill set which I learned, is that someone who doesn't have a lot of net worth, let's say their net worth is $10,000, all they have is $10,000 in their bank account. If you ask for $100 from them, then you're basically asking 1% of their net worth. Someone who has $1 million, if you're asking $10,000, it's a very small percentage of their net worth. So now my target is to actually work with businesses, or my client base has changed from someone
Changed.
who has
Okay.
$10,000 net worth, nothing negative with them, they're just different segment, to people who have high net worth. There are a lot of high net worth individuals in the US, and just solving their problem set. So someone who has little, like less net worth, will just give things for free, because there is no money meaning for me to charge $100. It's like, why to even charge? So yeah, that's just
Yeah.
sharing a business learning.
Thank you, CM. Now I have a question for Tanvir Bhai. So Tanvir Bhai, I think coming from a kind of like the concern of the AI, so the question came is, so I think AI takeover for the network or the telecom industry will be a little slower than the software industry, as high risk factors involved, and sometimes there's a need of human touch. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think that's why I was making a comment that this reliability issue with telecoms has been there, and it will be stay there for a while. So that's the kind of we call it like a little bit slow industry for telco to embrace AI, but at the same time it is embracing quicker than expected. So yes, I mean definitely high risk is there, the autonomy and all those kind of thing, and that's the reason that I was talking about having a person who understand the coding. So it means that who understand the network at the same time to kind of validate the kind of code generated by, or network automation script generated by the robots or AI agents, right? To understand. So yes, I mean it will be slower, but at the same time it is maturing as we speak. So it is not like something will happen probably in 5 years time. The AI topic in telco started 2.5 years ago during the industry event like MWC. If you're familiar with Mobile World Congress, which is the biggest telco event for the world, and then it started, and now you see every year there are more POCs and kind of demos, trials are coming up. And even for 6G, we're envisioning that will be AI native. Cloud native is a kind of term that's being used in the cloud infrastructure, as you know that how the software is kind of cloud native. So AI native is the word that we have been kind of coining for the 6G innovation. So yes, I mean it is slower, but at the same time, it is taking pace. In that perspective, but I do agree that there is human touch, and which are kind of that's the higher level intelligent people that require in the network operation who can kind of make that call. So ultimately, AI agent will help you to make the decisions, and they will come up with two decisions that, okay, can you take A or B? Like A will have this impact, B will have this impact. So which one? So probably like that click is still with the engineers, but ultimately that will be evolving as we are maturing and kind of getting AI matured.
Thank you, Tanvir bhai. So thank you both for your time. We're at the very end of the session. Like we only have 5 more minutes. Do you want to say something to the audiences before we close the call? Let's start with
Yeah,
Siam, I
go ahead.
guess.
No, I
Oh,
mean,
sorry, Siam. Like I think we have one last question
Okay.
coming to Tanvir bhai. When can we expect a new phone coming from Nokia?
That's a good one. But if we are familiar with Nokia, so we have kind of spin off the whole Nokia handset back in, I think, when it was being sold to Microsoft, and then it was sold to an independent company called HMD. So even though HMD is making these Nokia phones, but this is not connected with our company. So they are using
Hmm.
our kind of the IPR, kind of the brand name. So I actually don't know when the new phone will come up, but that's a different company. But yes, I mean, my first phone was also Nokia, and I think a lot of us started with Nokia phone in our early days in telecoms.
Yeah, I think everybody misses the Nokia phones. Like everybody definitely had growing up a Nokia phone in their hand. Yeah.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Tanvir. I'm sorry, Siam, for interrupting you. So let's do a closing remark for the audiences.
closing remark. Thinking like what is the most valuable thing everyone needs to do? I mean, at least I think at this moment in the I would say it's I mean this is an interesting puzzle. Is that what I'm seeing is that the Gen Zs and the younger generation are more like tech native, like they are more used to using technologies faster, and then the older, like let's say our generation is millennials, we're good, but we still have a little bit shakiness whenever new product technology comes up. Like, oh, maybe we're becoming like dads and like uncles and like whatever we, I mean, you
Yeah.
guys are our dads, but I'm saying that like uncles and like older generation, but we have this huge privilege of expertise and knowledge and wisdom, and I think like this kind of people probably needs more like using ais as like becoming more like tools, like AI tools almost daily, which requires a lot of like mental switch in the muscle because it's
Hmm.
not natural when we are already older. But I would say like anyone who is listening, I would say that if you want to take away one thing right now, I would say that starting to use the tools, even if they're evolving every week, just almost every day, so that you have the muscle, because it does require a
Okay.
little bit muscle power to how to do prompt engineering. Because I've seen a lot of people use chat gpt, but they use it as a search engine or just like a very generic tool, but the
Hmm.
power is way more. I'm just saying chat gpt as a general name. For Gemini or Claude, there are just so many tools, and at least within our company we basically declared a day called AI day. So basically out of 5 days a week, one
Oh
day
wow.
basically they
Okay.
do not do any work. They just analyze their own processes and rebuild their own processes using AI tools. That's the job.
That's a very good thing to do. Yeah.
So I would say that yeah, if someone wants to like just being like kind of force yourself to being hands on with these tools, because anyone, yeah, my productivity has become like 10x in the last I don't know, like 2 years. I have so many systems now, and
Hmm.
like learning how to build agents. So it's like really exciting, and that's it. Like that's all I would say, that like just
Thank you,
dive
Siam.
deep into AI.
Yeah. Thank
All
you,
right.
Siam.
Yeah.
And
Maybe
Tanvir, but you
I can.
already like you have like a kid going to the college now, so you can see both sides in your family.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think I have 2 points to make. This is more kind of, what we are saying. This is maybe my kind of um, vision that I have seen last 8 years in US.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one is a lot of kind of, our diaspora who are into IT, they are working in this kind of testing kind of work, right? So there are a lot of people who are doing testing. So this is a declining kind of, industry. So having a lot of people who are expertise in these tools and making their living out of it, this is an important part that everyone should understand, that this work will not be there because the testing was initiated. And I'm not like a 100% core software engineer, but
Mm-hmm.
these are trying to avoid the human errors, right? And more we are doing coding with AI, and testing is actually built in the process of the developing the software. So this is an important part. So if you are starting your career now, and if you are in a career with the testing, so you should also think that how you can transform your career to other areas which is lucrative, as Siam just mentioned, that what we can do, AI literacy, how you can embrace AI, how you can jump into the next kind of, type of work that you wanted
Mm-hmm.
to do. Number two is, I think we are not that great in networking. You see that, so, a lot of people in Bangladeshi diaspora are in the same companies, same industry, and then we should make sure that kind of, we have this networking. And if you look at people like others, like, other nationality, they are very, very kind of structured and well connected. So kind of, let's be connected community. I know as a Bangali, I think no one wants to see another Bengali to shine and rise. And that's how I see it, like, in some of my careers. But at the same time, these are not not everything that I have seen. I have seen people who are supportive and kind of helping each other. So let's make that community stronger and build this network. You talk about this sales pitch and all those kind of things. So if suppose, like, if you're having a startup and you pitch it to some of in the diaspora who is interested on your kind of, solution, then it's a win for you and win for them also. So let's be connected. I think these are the two, and I will just finish off this one. And thanks a lot for Bitna to having this opportunity to talk here with the rest of the kind of community.
Thank you, Tanvir Bhai. Thank you, Siam, for taking like your precious 1 hour of your time and like sharing your experience and advices with the Bitna audiences. So with that remark, we're going to close today's session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.